This week on Rockstar Superhero. You know, I might not be the best interviewer, but I feel like I do all right most of the time. This week's interview with an absolute legend, Rohan Stevenson of I Built the Sky, was one where I fought tooth and nail to stay in the conversation. And it wasn't because Rohan, but because of me. This little thing called Moderna. Yes, I got the coronavirus injection right before the interview, and well, I felt like crap. So, fortunately for me, Rohan was amazing. He was kind, he was professional, he withstood my rambling, so I beg this of you as well. The new acoustic record and the new collaboration records are coming out in the near future. Rohan wasn't able to really give specifics, but if you're listening to the show, you know his music is epic. It's cinematic and as good as perfect gets. In other words, we are in for a treat, my friends. And if Dave Grohl or Tom Delonge is listening, pay attention, guys, because your dream collaboration awaits you. I will say nothing else, but encourage you to listen to this fun, roaming conversation with an absolute guitar master, Rohan Stevenson from I Built the Sky on the Rockstar Superhero Podcast. I'm actually nervous today. You're one of those artists I've been following on the fringes for about 5-6 years. And being a former professional drummer, I listen to all the stuff you're doing and I love the rhythms. I love the atmosphere, and it's just really special. So I'm really stoked. Thanks again.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm glad I've made that much of an impact.
You have. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I was talking to a number of musicians that I know, and some of which are significantly well known, and every one of them said, "Wow, you're talking to Rohan. That's pretty cool." So, okay. Yeah, they know who you are, man, whether you know it or not. Yeah.
Wow, I don't know what to say. That blows my mind. I do come across little things here and there, and it's really amazing. I love, the internet is good like that. There's, you're not too far away from, especially the metal community. We're a lot smaller.
Yeah. But it's so passionate, right? I mean, once somebody discovers you, it's almost an instant fandom thing, right? They become a fanatic and they fall in love with a very specific thing. And your style of playing, it feels like Rohan Stevenson, if I can say that. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but for me as an outsider, if I listen especially to your back catalog, I still hear the identity and the thumbprint today.
Well, that's great, because that's the goal,
Yeah.
Try and have your own thing going, which can be difficult to establish, especially early on, because you're still absorbing your influences and things like that. But I'm glad you say that, because that's definitely the goal.
That's cool. Yeah, the only thing different about back then is your hairstyle was significantly more emo and punk.
It was. I'm still emo at heart. It just
it's a black parade all day, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's like my favorite style of music to listen to.
Yeah, like AFI, that sort of thing.
More the poppier emo stuff. I guess like Dashboard Confessional is probably a good example.
Gotcha.
Saves the day,
Yeah.
I could talk about that for a while. Yeah.
Oh, well, feel free. Were you ever into the shoegaze?
I don't know specifically, but maybe I've come across some of that, like
Death Cab for Cutie, that sort of idea.
I've come across it. Yeah.
Yeah. Much more melancholy, obviously not heavy at all. Very, very light pop, very safe.
Yeah.
You live near Melbourne, right?
Yeah, in Melbourne. Yeah.
Okay, so do you mind if I ask a little bit about your early history? Were you raised there? You know, I haven't been there, but my sister-in-law lives in Brisbane, so that's my only thing I know about Australia is what it's like in Brisbane. So yeah,
right, yeah. So I've lived in Melbourne my whole life. Yeah, it's good place to be, really. Great city, lots of great music around the city.
Yeah.
So I've never been struggling to get inspiration from, local bands and things like that.
Yeah.
Used to go out a lot to see bands. I still try to, but obviously the universe has slightly different plans right now. But
yeah,
it's a great city. I've really enjoyed it. Been here my whole life.
Yeah. Your abilities aren't standard or traditional in any way, at least to me. And granted, this was me coming from my own perspective as a former professional musician, but I understand this sounds a little bit like fan service, but to me, you sound like a very complete player. And I wonder how much of that is just a ton of practice versus natural gift.
I'd say it's all practice. I don't feel like I'm naturally gifted apart from being very enthusiastic about music and very into it. So I absorb a lot and I'm passionate to get the results that I want, So I definitely, I think it's all practice.
Yeah. But did you ever feel you had a gift? Did your parents play music? Was there ever somebody in your life that says, Rohan, you really got to pick this up? Or was it just an automatic, you had a passion, one day you heard a song on the radio and you said, I want to emulate that?
Yeah, so my dad played in bands when he was younger and does still perform now even.
Wow.
Playing like a Bob Dylan kind of stuff,
Yeah.
My granddad was in a brass band and my great-grandma on the other side was a piano teacher, I believe. So there's a bit of music in the genes, I suppose. But I think that just helps you being around it when you're growing up,
Sure.
Yeah, forget the other part of your question.
No, that's all right. I mean, you were there. It's more about, did anybody tell you, oh, Rohan, you have a gift?
Nah.
Okay. Wow. That's sad. and I say that I don't mean in a mean way, but I say that because it seems so obvious to me. Yes, I understand, years and years and years and years of rehearsal and practice, but that doesn't change the fact that it doesn't just, pop into your fingers automatically. You know what I mean? You have some beautiful DNA, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
Yeah.
No, I think basically because I was more into like just pretty standard punk rock sort of music for the most of my, growing up and learning guitar. So I was into that. So I wasn't like a virtuoso or anything like that.
Yeah.
That sort of came a bit later on when I was getting into more different instrumental guitarists and things. So I definitely sort of stepped it up a bit down the line. So I think that's more so why.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Most of your music though has a feeling of longing in it. And I can't explain it, but I've always equated your material as a combination or a mix of cinematic and soaring soundscapes. It's coupled with these feelings of hopefulness, but then there's a melancholy too, and it's a real conundrum to me. I'm wondering if you see your music as bittersweet or that melancholy quality, or is it just how I'm, defining it? I'm putting it through my own lens.
I think generally I try to make it uplifting in some way, or sort of like somehow positive. I think the melancholy stuff you might be interpreting that in your own way from my point of view, because I think I try to make it like emotionally, like I'm trying to connect with people, so
yeah.
I'm definitely trying to like get some sort of emotion to the listener as well. but generally I try it to be fun and happy and that kind of vibe. Maybe there's moments of the melancholy kind of feel in there, but it's not necessarily deliberate.
Yeah. It could be the fact that it's progressive music too, right? It progresses. It tells a story.
Yeah.
But your answer actually explains why it's called "I Built the Sky" to me.
Cool.
Do you mind sharing a little bit about the story behind the name? I'm sure you've told this a million times, but I actually didn't find it online, so I don't know why. Okay.
No worries. Basically, if you ever try to make a project name or a band name, you quickly realize everything's taken.
Yeah.
No matter how clever it is, it seems everyone's taken it somehow.
Yeah.
Or there's some random company. So it definitely took a while to get to that name. I would constantly think of like things I thought were cool and then write them in my phone in notes, and then like Google search it when I could, and then be like, it's taken. Yeah, but I think I really liked that one that when I came to it, just because it's sort of like, for me, from my perspective, it's like, because it's my own project, right, where initially I had come from working collaboratively with other bands and people and things, where I wasn't like the primary writer. It was sort of my time to do my own thing and have my own way, which is something you kind of give up when you work with other people.
Yeah, it's hard.
Which is good. A good thing too, because you learn a lot from other people as well, which I'm really grateful that I did learn so much from the people I was involved with back then. But yeah, I got to a point where I wanted to do my own thing, and to me it just represents like me creating my own thing. Like, I built the sky, I created my own
awesome
thing,
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. I mean, it actually works on all fronts, right? Because it definitely defines your sound. It makes sense with you designing your own style. But I guess I was hoping, and not to say that it's a bad answer, but I was hoping you would tell me, like, oh, you used to be an architect or something, years back, that sort of idea, right?
Yeah. No,
nothing that silly. I mentioned this earlier, but I was listening earlier today, in fact, to Intortus. I think that's how it's pronounced. I've always okay, and it really made sense to me. It seems like there was always a game plan or a sound, and maybe that's just you being you. But do you feel like you got lucky and the evolution of your music happened the way it happened? Did it hit the zeitgeist at the right time? How did you pop out? How did you become known that first time?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a large degree of luck, because I see heaps of artists that are incredible and they just don't quite pop through. They don't, for some reason. So I definitely think there's an element of luck in there. I mean, I think it all lines up. There's a bit of luck on your side through the algorithms and stuff like that. Putting it out to new people and getting and recommending your music and stuff like that, and having other people like being vocal about it and sharing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The kind of having a style of music that's sort of somewhat in at the time as well. And investing in yourself and doing the work.
Yeah.
And committing to it and having a drive to do what's necessary to make it happen. But to be honest, I mean, it's been a long road. Like, I sort of released my first album in 2012, and I was working at the time full time, doing teaching and basically doing this as a hobby, conceding that it was not going to be a career move, music as I wanted it to be. And that sustained over many years, from 2012 to 2019 when I was working and doing this alongside. But to be honest, I got to a point where I just had to go all in and try either way. And I was very lucky that at that exact moment I'd released the Zenith Rise album. Following my departure from my job and stuff. Yeah. And that people really enjoyed it and got on board and supported, and basically, lifted my stats enough to where I could actually pull it off till now.
Yeah. Well, it shows that people love it. I'm sorry.
I'm basically two years in at this point next month. So I'm very stoked and grateful to have lasted at least that long. Hoping to do more.
You will. It was actually leading into the next question I had, which is regarding Up in the Ether. You know, you released the video in September of 2019, just as you had mentioned a second ago. And that song seems to be, from my, again, outsider opinion, the most complete piece, right? The most successful of your pieces. And I wondered if you had ever been told, or if you figured out what was different about it. You know, how did it connect so well? Because it clearly did. And then I thought, well, maybe it was just all your fans, in a sense, sort of ganging up for you and celebrating the fact that you had made this big change to walk away from your job. You know, the video details that. It's definitely a statement. This is Rohan Stevenson. This is what I'm doing. This is, I built the sky. I'm moving forward. I'm going to jump off this cliff and open up my parachute someday. You know what I mean?
Totally. Exactly. Yeah. I think that's exactly right. I think people, you know, it's a statement, and people are like, oh, this guy's not fucking around. He's like actually quitting his job now. So, you know, it makes people pay attention and even follow just to like, all right, I'm going to see what happens to this dude, because that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think just everything lined up, everything that could possibly line up, just lined up on that. Because, I mean, early on, it got like 100,000 views in like a week or something.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, that clearly it hit the algorithm somehow and, you know, got promoted to new people and things like that. And I think the introduction to the song really drew a lot of people in and inspired people. I definitely know that, because I get told that pretty much every day, which is awesome. Yeah. And that on top with, I think that song is probably, you know, would have been one of my best songs I released at that time. The production was a step up from anything I've done previously, because I worked with Forrester, who's, you know, done mixes and production for Carnival and many other awesome bands. So yeah, a lot went into that, and I'm glad it really pushed me along a bit.
Yeah. I think my idea of melancholy actually stems from that. Now that because I can hear the song in my head right now as we're talking, right? And I feel like the song is so well bookended. It really does take you on this journey into your future. It's making the statement that you're walking away. It's you standing there cliffside playing with your friends and really celebrating nature and music and all this sort of incredible thing that's been downloaded into you when you were born. You know what I mean? And who doesn't want to celebrate that, right? What fan doesn't want to see you succeed? I can't imagine there's anybody that actually is following you just to watch you fall apart and implode.
I'm sure there is.
You're hated everywhere.
I mean, generally people are very, very kind, overly kind, which is great.
Yeah. Since most of your material doesn't have lyrical content, I mean, I think I've heard one piece with the singer from Monuments.
Yeah.
What message are you trying to achieve? Is there a central? I mean, I know you kind of answered it before, but is there a central? This is what I'm doing, kind of every song, or do you actually have thoughts and ideas? Like a title says, "Oh, this song sounds like an orange peel. I'm going to write a song about an orange peel." Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I think that deeply about it. I'm not like writing songs about
orange peels,
specific things like that. I'm just trying to create something that I feel like has, it can be interpreted in different ways, and it has a feeling to me.
Yeah.
And to me, honestly, just sound is enough to do that.
Yeah.
I just love everything about instrumental though. Like, I mean, the way, like, the freedom you have as a musician to make certain instruments be the focus, and also I love the ambience it creates too. Like, especially if I'm doing a long drive, I'll put on instrumental music because it's just, you're not having someone tell their, heartbreak story or whatever it is, necessarily. And I really enjoy that mood of like instrumental, whether it's heavy or ambient or whatever, But I mean, I also love vocals, don't get me wrong, but there's just something really exciting about making instrumental music, the freedoms to have, certain instruments being the focus, and the challenge involved in that, trying to like hold someone's attention without a singer.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the freedom of it.
Yeah. Well, you're saying it, and the idea is, people talk about the term voicing. They're not necessarily, people who aren't musicians aren't necessarily understanding what that means, but the voicing of certain choices you're making. You're creating a full band sound because you have certain notes that are, in a sense, bass notes. It's almost like if you were playing a stick or a war guitar, right? Where you have all these choices and all these things you have to make. Your style of playing is you're creating a central melody, but then you're also creating this beautiful vocal melody over the top that's just not vocalist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
100%.
It's fantastic. I think the reason I love it so much is, again, because I'm a former musician. I guess I'm still a musician, but you know what I mean. I have always found that lyrics are something I rarely paid attention to. When I was young, I don't know if this will sit with you, but when I was younger, there was a song by Nick Gilder called "Hot Child in the City." Are you familiar with this song?
I don't know it. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. It came out in 1978. I'm a lot older than you, I have a feeling. But that being said, the song was about a prostitute. And I loved the song so much. I went out and bought the little 45 record at the local drugstore. And I came home and I played it. And I did not care at all what that song was about. In fact, I never knew what it was about because I wasn't listening to the words at all. And one day I was working down in my garage and playing it, and my mom comes in, just storms in, very upset. She says, "What is this thing you have on the radio?" And I explained to her, and she said, "This song's about a prostitute or whatever." And it really, I've never forgotten my mom coming in and saying that, because I realized, I really only care about the melodies and the rhythms. That's enough to tell the story. And I'm curious, you just mentioned lyrics and, vocals can be important. Obviously, it's different than what you do. But were you ever in a place where that was your POV? You were saying like that's just not a thing for me?
Well, I've been in heaps of bands prior to this.
Okay, so I don't know that. Yeah.
With vocalists and things. I'm not like against it or anything, but I just enjoy the freedom of it. Like, I could feel like I could do an acoustic song, or I could do a really heavy song, and the vocals don't exist, so I don't have to consider them in any way, shape, or form. But
yeah. No, that makes sense. I guess I'm trying to tell you how to think because I assume you would think the way I think. My apologies. Can't resist, I guess. How did the coronavirus affect you? This seems to be the question du jour lately, but I imagine when, you sort of walked away from, your job there in 2019 and you have a few months respite, and then coronavirus basically shuts the world down. Mm-hmm. Did it affect you positively or negatively, or, is there a middle ground for you? Because I've found that everybody I've talked to says the coronavirus, although scary in the beginning, was actually a game changer. It refined their musical approach, and it refined the fan base.
Yeah, I think it probably overall it's slightly benefited me, because people are more inclined to be streaming and consuming media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? More than they could previously, Generally speaking. So it didn't put too much stress on me apart from not being able to perform, because I was hoping that in 2020 that I could do a lot of performing and touring and stuff like that.
Right.
I started the year with a tour in Europe and UK with Monuments, and I got home basically a week before everything started shutting down. So
wow.
We just scraped through that tour, and I was hoping to do a lot more. I was supposed to be doing another festival in the UK, middle of the year sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it basically meant no touring, So that kind of sucks, and it kind of ruins the plan of that year. But then again, I could spend time, working on new music, and so that's basically what I've done.
Right. It's none of my business, and of course, I would not ask about finances. But I'm curious if Patreon has saved you in a sense because of the crisis and the lack of being able to play live shows out in the world. It's
a great community and a great it's a great network of assistance, but it's a portion of my income overall.
Mm-hmm.
So if Patreon was to go down, I think I could still scrape through.
Good, that's good news.
Because you can't rely on Patreon, because people are in and out, as they can, and as their needs and wants change, and that's totally that's how it is, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But Patreon is definitely up and down.
Yeah.
And I can't really make it something to rely on. You know what I mean? It's sort of there as a extra help.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to have a lot of verticals. There's just no way to be even remotely successful. And when I say successful, that means surviving, not necessarily thriving. The music business is tough. The business side of it doesn't seem to be very fair,
Yeah, it's a bit of a minefield for sure.
Yeah.
I'm actually very lucky that I've taken the path that I've chosen, I think, because I've definitely had moments where, record labels wanting to sign me and things like that. And that's great, but I feel like I'd rather be in control. And I'm just glad that I didn't sign those, rights off, because then I'd obviously lose a lot of income from my streaming and stuff like that, and a lot of control, And I need control to function, otherwise it just doesn't work. So this is basically the only form I can work in, I think.
Yeah.
But making those decisions and passing off those deals, I think, saved me in the end.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that it's working out for you, because it seems to me that so many people will make that choice, not necessarily in defiance, but just really wanting to own, their material and own their process. And, and then something in a sense goes awry, and, they miss that one shot. I imagine though that's not necessarily a concern for you, and not necessarily because you're having successes, but because you haven't yet had what you're in a sense going after. I don't know if I'm making this clear, but it seems to me that no matter what, you're going to be prolific. You're going to move forward. You're going to self-manage. You're going to self-promote, and that's the way it is.
Exactly.
That's so 100%. Cool.
It's the only way. It's the only way for me to function. But I think it works for other people where they're not as inclined in the other parts of the business.
Yeah.
They want to just focus on the music, and it's a bit overwhelming, all the other stuff. But I actually enjoy basically all of it. I really enjoy the whole thing. So, I love video editing and, mixing.
Yeah.
And,
you like to be busy.
Yeah. It's just all exciting to me.
Yeah, Patreon seems so stressful to me. I've never pursued it. I don't think I'm necessarily very good at anything like this, but I imagine there's a pressure to, constantly upload new content. But again, as I mentioned before, you seem so prolific. I can't imagine it's hard for you.
Well, I basically, integrate what I'm doing with Patreon anyway. So yeah, it's not a big stress to me. Actually, it's a seamless integration, let's say, because like if I'm every month I'll do a video for all the Patreons, and that's just basically what I'm doing during the month. So I'll just document that, or something related to what's going on in the project. So that seems to be fine.
Yeah.
Actually, I enjoy it because it's good fun. It's cool. And then I do the podcast in as well, and then I'm doing another video more about specific like trying to explain something in detail, or teach something, or explain some of my methods and things like that. Or I just ask those Patreons what they want in that month, specific to them. So that's another cool thing too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start chiming in. You send out a lot of stuff, and I'm like, I don't have time. But I can see you're always going. It's an amazing thing to me. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm living my passion, so it's just natural. Like, I feel like now I'm doing what I always wanted to do, but people care enough that I can actually pursue it to a career.
Yeah. You'd mentioned that you were in Europe for the early part of 2020. I don't know actually if you've ever played, the Seattle area, for example. Have you been up here?
No, I haven't done any of the States, unfortunately.
Yeah,
definitely. There's a bit of a hurdle involved with getting the right visas and things like that, and being accepted in as at a certain level. So I think now that's something that's definitely possible, but I just don't know about.
Yeah. This is something I discovered the other day with another band that I could not believe they actually had a remote American following. It turns out it was really significant. Do you know what your demographics are? I mean, where in a sense are you the most loved?
Yeah, definitely overall, the States.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. For sure. So I think like Texas is a big one.
Unbelievable. Maybe it's that big sky stuff, right? Texas, Montana, all these beautiful, large places where your music has, again, that cinematic feel.
Maybe.
Have you done movie soundtracks?
No.
Are you open to that?
Like to write for a specific...
Yeah, to actually write for a movie versus having a piece that somebody wants to license for a movie.
It would be a bit of a battle to get me on board with that, to be honest, because I enjoy creating on my own terms,
Yeah.
But I wouldn't never say never. Like if the right opportunity came along, Yeah. It was something I felt really into, and it made sense for me to spend a lot of time. I think that's the thing. Is like that's why it's very difficult nowadays to get me to do guest solos. I used to do a few guest solos and things. Nowadays, I'm a lot less inclined, because at the end of the day, if I could spend 2 days working on someone else's solo or something like that, or someone else's song, or I could spend the same amount of time doing exactly what I would want to do
for you,
probably make more money in the end, right? Because I get all the royalties forever.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense to spend that time in those other projects. So there's a bit of that going on as well.
Sure. I don't know why I asked that question, because I knew that was going to be your answer. Yeah. So in other words, this is mine, man. This is the way it is. This is mine. I'm not giving it away. And I completely understand that, because you said it perfectly. Why work for 2 weeks or 2 years on a project that you're going to give away? It's never enough money anyway. And not that it's about the money, but that's a piece of it. And it's certainly control.
Now it's a factor, because this is my job, right? So it's absolutely a factor. I can't just, that's the thing that that's the thing that's happening, is that everyone's asking me to check out their new song or their new EP. I can't, I just don't have, there's just no time. I get so much requests and stuff like that, and I'm just doing myself a disservice. I wouldn't be getting much done if I if I enabled that. So it kind of sucks though, because like I wish I had infinity time. I enjoy like checking out new music and all that sort of stuff, but
Yeah.
I have to. It's a job. I have to treat it like a job, or else I'm gonna be out of a job. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, you're so wise, you're so smart, and this is not me blowing smoke up your tailpipe. I actually wanted to share this thought with you because you're clearly in the middle of it, and that's a good thing. So many artists are so focused and so needy of somebody else's love. You know, I mean, I know this because I'm one of them. I am always seeking attention through the things I create, whether it's my drumming or this or whatever. And it's never enough, right? I've never loved enough. I've never appreciated or admired enough. And if somebody says it sucks, it breaks my heart. You know, I guess I'll just stop and pull myself out of the equation here. But I admire the fact that you've been so wise and you're sticking to your guns, because that pain is worth it on the other side. And you don't want to get caught up in some 1 year, 5 year, 10-year transition where all you're ever doing is helping other people. And they're taking from you because you have joy and you're giving this beautiful thing, but they're not giving back because they just wanted you to come and give them your thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You got to look after yourself and keep your your life needs to be prioritized.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's definitely easy to get caught up in stuff, and you just you don't help yourself that way. I mean, it's
yeah. No, that's good. Being a drummer, I've always paid attention to, you know, who's doing what, who's performing on what album. Obviously you've worked with Rob Brenz. He's so good.
Yeah.
What does your drum writing process look like? Because I don't know.
You get this.
Yeah.
I click in on the dots.
Is that really what you do?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically,
oh my God.
Yeah, you just you program. So I click in. I don't have like a MIDI controller or anything like that, which I probably should. Like some people can like play in grooves and stuff on keyboards or whatever. But I just like to click stuff in and get a vague feel for what I'm going for.
Mm-hmm.
And then, get a groove happening, and then you just start like manipulating that, adding in little bits, and, then experimenting with fills and trying to figure out what feels good, transitioning into new sections with some sort of a fill or stuff like that. And then just trying to drumify things and create the feel you need. But I click in with the mouse. I actually really enjoy that too. It's fun.
Yeah. You're really good at it.
not having like any human constraints.
Yeah. Yeah, you really are. And this is a good way. You're megalomaniacal, right? Because this is my thing, man. Stop asking me about it. It's my thing.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I say that because the drum performances, especially if they're created, they're synthetic, right? They're programmed. I mean, nowadays we have all of this. I didn't have this when I was out there. Nowadays you have all the sound replacement and, get good drums. You have all this ability to really portray a fantastic drummer. It sounds so real. And especially if you don't really, really sort of over quantize it, it'll have that natural feel. I was curious because when I listened, to Into the Ether as an example, and I guess it's because I'm watching the video and I'm considering the performance, but my brain tells me that was a played drum part, and it's not. It's programmed. Damn you!
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really cool. Yeah, it's exciting that's a thing now. And if I had to hire drummers and drum rooms and audio engineers, and be very difficult. Very difficult. So it's a part of why this is a possibility for me, really, being able to do that. But having said that, I mean, this new EP has a real drummer on it. no program.
Oh.
So basically, me and Jake programmed drum parts to express the feeling of and the grooves of the sections and stuff. But then we sent that over to a drummer who interpreted it as a drummer would,
Wow.
And yeah, that's how we did that. So we did actually track real drums on this EP that's coming soon.
Now, Jake plays with Pliny, right?
Yes.
So we're talking about Jake Howsam Lowe, if I pronounce it. Okay, so do you mind giving up the name of the drummer?
Yeah, the drummer is Nathan Buller from Intervals.
Oh my God, he's great.
Yeah, great.
Wow, so this is really going to be special. I mean, most of the time when I do these interviews, I've heard some promo material in advance, and I haven't heard this. When are we going to start getting tasters?
Pretty soon, I'd say in the next like 2 weeks. I think there'll be something.
Good.
I think. I mean, I don't get all the say in this. There's a bit of a process involved, but we're basically right on the home stretch now. So I'd say in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, sort of thing, there should be something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And after that, do you have a sort of a release cloud, like a general Christmas time, that sort of idea?
Before that, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And is it actually fully acoustic?
So this EP is not acoustic. That's something else that I'm doing.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
Yeah. So the EP is like, it's all your shred metal, heavy groove needs.
Okay.
Lots of crazy riffs and all that stuff. So
Okay.
No acoustic guitars on that.
Okay. So then the other record, the acoustic record.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because my brain was putting them together. My apologies.
That's all right. Yeah. So I've been working on these 2 releases simultaneously, which is probably too much. Because mentally it's like you're in this headspace, and then it's like, all right, now I'm in the opposite headspace.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been working on this. Like, I've been writing the songs last year, and then we recorded in about November of last year. I rented out an Airbnb in this really beautiful area.
Nice.
There's a Patreon video there too, I think, that shows the place. It was a really, really awesome place. Just a house, basically. And recorded all the guitars there. Well, probably like 90% of the guitars. I did actually do some more at home as well, but got the majority of it out, recorded. And then this year I've been working on the mixes and doing some things like adding strings in and cello and piano and all that sort of stuff, all via programming as well.
Unbelievable. You're so, again, I've used the word prolific 3 or 4 times, but it amazes me that you are alive because I can't imagine anybody sleeping with the amount of product you put out or the grand visions you have. Is that actually one of the reasons you choose to do collaborations on occasion, because you don't have the bandwidth and you still want to keep releasing, so it helps to have other input?
No.
Okay.
I find that actually working with other people slows the process down, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it just adds that extra layer of complexity to the process. Where it's just me, it's on me. So it's just, I don't have to chase things down as much or have those dialogues about creativity,
Yeah.
Or I guess I do, but they're within here, so it's not for that reason. I do it because of it's a fun thing to do. And the results end up being really special when you collaborate with people, because you get those elements that you would not ever in a million years be able to do on your own.
Right.
So it allows those end results to be really special. So that's the reason I do it. It's cool. It's a cool, fun thing. I think the fans enjoy it too.
Yeah, definitely.
But like, my bread and butter and the thing that I enjoy the most is purely just doing my own thing and working myself. I think I would likely get more done if that was the case. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it totally makes sense. I mean, you've said it over and over, and I keep trying to undo it. but you are clearly an efficiency machine, or you wouldn't be able to do all the things you do. But, as an example, when I was preparing for this interview, I'm listening to the material that you've done, the collaboration you did with Andy and Ollie from Monuments, which was a really nice surprise last year, by the way. Thank you very much for creating it. Andy's voice is so unbelievably freaking epic. I cannot imagine having a singing range like that. Are there collaborations, like dream collaborations, regardless of the efficiency issue and the fact that you would rather do it yourself? Is there a dream collaboration waiting in the wings? Like someday I'm going to work with Devin Townsend, or someday I'm going to work with Jürgen Munkeby from Shining. You know what I mean? Is there anything that you wish for?
Absolutely. Dave Grohl, Tom DeLonge.
Oh my God.
Those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're two that I would love to, obviously, but
yeah,
I guess it's probably not going to happen. but for more realistic stuff, like, maybe like some of the Periphery guys.
Yeah.
Would be cool.
Yeah. So good.
I know Matt, the drummer, enjoys my music. So who knows?
A lot of people love your music. The guys in Archetype love your music. The guys in Subterranean Masquerade love your music. I mean, you have a surprisingly large footprint, Rohan.
It's crazy. It's mind blowing.
Yeah. I mean, look, I live in a tiny town in the middle of nowhere, Washington State. I'm not in Seattle. I'm actually east of Seattle, out in the mountains. And I know about you. And I'm inspired by you, right?
That's really is incredible to think, because I try not to think about that stuff. I just want to stay grounded and get music out there, and leave some sort of legacy of hopefully great music. So that's my motivation. The more you sort of start thinking about that, I just don't think it's a good thing to spend time thinking about.
Yeah, celebrity's bullshit anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get that a bit, actually, when people message me and they like, "Oh my God, you responded."
I'm a human.
I'm like, come on, man. Like I respond to everyone if where possible.
Yeah.
I'm always very appreciative of anyone that listens to my music, because they're contributing to me being able to do this as a career. So
yeah. I actually was watching one of your Instagram lives that you did, I don't know, maybe a month ago. And I'm sitting by the pool. I'm just relaxing. It's probably early morning for you. And people started donating to you on the Instagram live, because there's a button you can push to support the artist. And I was blown away by you. It's actually what really made me want to talk to you, because you so clearly loved and were so grateful for the support from the fans. It wasn't, hey, thanks for, buying me a latte today, but it was about the fans reaching out and giving you something they could give you because they love and admire you. And it was never about the celebrity. And I think, if anything that I've learned about you today, outside of my own nerves and my own fears of, not performing correctly or something on these, is I've met a gracious, grateful, kind, massively talented man that I would love to be, playing with as well. So, I'm glad that you don't let it get to you, but it's amazing what you do. And it's amazing how many people know about you that, of course, you have no idea.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. I'm glad. I don't know what to say,
Yeah. I mean, I hear it all the time, Rohan. All the time. People talk about you all the time. And I mean, I deal in the promo world, right? So I'm dealing with, these large scale promotion companies and labels and whatnot. And I would tell you, your name comes up at least once a week in a conversation that I did not solicit. For real.
Unbelievable.
It's so cool. I mean, to me, you don't understand this because and this is not me trying to, congratulate myself or try to, elevate myself in some way. But, I've interviewed some of the biggest rock stars in the world, and I wanted to interview you because you are the kind of inspiration I think people like me seek. We love the intention and the spiritual nature of what you create. It's beautiful and inspiring, and it's questioning and it's challenging, but there's so much hope in it. There's so much beauty. You can't stop smiling when you listen to an I Built the Sky song. And I think that's the game changer. I think that makes you a trendsetter, because I listen to, don't get me wrong, I love Animals as Leaders. Sorry, I'm rambling a bit, but
that's all good.
But music in a sense similar to what you do. Animals as Leaders, Pliny, Special Providence, all these sort of heavy, progressive, extreme jazz, whatever you want to call it. But nothing makes me smile like yours. There's one other band, Ezio Cry, does that for me. Are you familiar with them?
I know them.
Oh my goodness, listen to that. That's good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Link me up.
I will. I'll email you privately. But
okay.
It's really special. It's a 3-piece progressive rock band out of Chicago. And it's like Rush and UK. You know what I mean? It's just like holy crap type stuff. Lots of notes, but so good. Nice. and really melodic and thoughtful. And my kids love it. And here's the thing. When I sat down for dinner last night, I put your music on iHeartRadio, and we're sitting there having dinner, and my kids are smiling, and my son, who's he's 8-year-old, and he's starting to drum. And he's just sitting there playing right along with it. And I think that's because your material works. I'm sorry for the long praise session, but your material works, and I want to end big. Wow. But I love it. 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 So that's what I wanted to say.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad that what I do is of value to others, because I really enjoy it. So I hope to continue this journey and make interesting and cool stuff. So
cool. Well, before I let you go, I will make sure that we list where we can get all your material, your merch, and albums and whatnot. But may I ask a few silly questions I like to ask each of my guests?
Of course.
Okay. The first question is, what do you wish you knew back then?
Back then, to not get too caught up in other artists and their careers and their trajectories and things. Just to sort of keep in your own world and worry about that and put the energy into the music. And I think that's probably the most important thing, because it's very easy to see, because on the internet everyone's all connected, and you see all these amazing things happening all around you, and you definitely have those moments where it's like, oh, I wish I was doing that, But now I'm a lot less focused on that sort of stuff, and I enjoy things a lot more. I enjoy the process and just enjoy whatever cool things do come my way, rather than feel like I'm missing out.
Right. Right. Living in the moment.
Yeah. It's enjoying the whole thing. Yeah. I think that's the important thing.
That's a great answer. What musical instrument do you wish you had learned?
Drums. So I get how they work and all that sort of stuff, but I can't physically coordinate that stuff. But I feel like there's going to be a point in time where I'm going to give drums a solid crack and learn how to play drums and maybe join a band on drums.
Wow. Maybe. Because you've got time.
Well, I'm thinking maybe down the track a bit,
Gotcha.
just as a fun thing. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of rhythm in me, and I think I could be decent at that if I could build up the facility to actually physically coordinate it.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because your programming skills are, they're top notch. And again, not me blowing smoke, but I've been playing drums for 45 years, dude. I know how to play, and I listen to your stuff and I'm like, wow, that guy's really good. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe it's programmed, but it's probably not, because it just feels really human. And they're thoughtful choices. They're wise rhythmic drumming choices. They're not, 64th notes at 308 BPM. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The big dick syndrome. You know what I mean? You're really, really, really thoughtful, and that matters. So yeah, I hope you do it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. What did your parents warn you about that you ignored and did anyway?
being a band. Yeah.
That's every parent's warning.
Be a musician.
Don't do anything that makes your heart happy.
They didn't really. They were very. They let me kind of do my thing.
Yeah.
Very supportive, and because early on, I sort of worked on the guitar skills a bit later on, I think, when initially I was more into like the punk sort of stuff. So there wasn't really strong career potentials in that sort of style. I wouldn't think so. But no, they didn't really stop me or try to discourage anything. So
yeah, I'm glad you didn't listen.